Hello and welcome back to Building Ben's Miata Part 6. So in the last episode we made sure that we got the car running in the video. So it took a little bit longer than we thought, but we got it running. So this video, the goal is even higher. We want to get this thing moving under its own power, and we're really not far off. So we've got suspension stuff to do. Drive shaft is at the drive shaft place getting done. Ben's done a decent bit since the last time you guys were here. So he got most of the rear suspension done, or all of the rear suspension done except the coilovers, which we're going to be doing today. Got his axles in, he got the clips he needed, his destroyer die upper control arm, so he's running the same ones as me. These are really cool because they're an adjustable upper, but instead of having heim joints here where you got to unbolt it to adjust it, you have an eccentric right here. I love these. I feel like if you're going to drift a Miata, they are an absolute must, or really do anything where you might be changing the camber a lot. He got his racing beat rear sway bar on. He's got his brake lines routed for his handbrake caliper and his normal caliper. So on his car, he's going to be running normal sport brakes. I have sport brake rotors and Willwood calipers on mine. But yeah, rear suspension's done. Front suspension is laid out. So he's also doing destroyer die. So he didn't do the upper, but he has the destroyer die lower control arm. So these are sweet because they're also camber adjustable. So you have essentially 3 slots all the way in, middle, or all the way out. Huge camber range, and that allows you to do more with your caster because you have 2 eccentric bolts here and here. You can basically adjust your caster more than you would normally be able to because you're not trying to find a good compromise between the caster you want and the camber you want. You can get both. So these are sweet. They're also obviously much higher clearance to work with the destroyer die drop knuckles. So for those of you who've watched my Miata build, you know I have all this same stuff on my car. It has worked incredibly well. So when it came time to build Ben's car, I mean, it was pretty much a no-brainer. I love the destroyed eye stuff, and especially for the price, man. And now Driftworks carries it, they sell it, and then also I think Drift HQ is even selling this stuff now. So it's even easier to get than it was before. And I mean, by far, it's the best stuff for a Miata. And then also on the same theme of what we've done before, what we're doing now, BC coilovers. You guys all know I used to work for BC for 5 years. So we just did an exact replica of my kit. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get the extended top hats from BC. They haven't come out with them for production yet for the Miatas, but Ben has some extended top hats that he's gonna make work on these coilovers, but this particular setup is actually pretty standard in the front with stiffer springs, and then the rear it's very soft with a really long shock. This shock has almost double the stroke of the stock shock that comes in the kit. But to do that requires the extended top hats, which we're gonna put on now. Woo, woo, woo! Excitement. Oh, and their DS series. I pretty much all DS nowadays. Digressives are life. So these are the extended top hats you got. They're pillow balls, so that's nice.
Super difficult install.
Yeah, it's so easy. You can see how thin the coils are on the spring because it's a 4K. They're so soft. It's like what I have on my car.
Definitely the correct way to do this.
Okay. Extended boys. Looks fancy. Now you gotta set your preload. Do you know how to set your preloads?
Not off the top of my head. I know it's like you put it to there and then you tighten it down a certain amount.
Yeah, so you're getting this a little more. You basically want to turn it until it's hard to turn by hand. And that'll be when the spring is, basically it's taut, like pretty much there.
The other Johnny, you know what size this is?
14. Oh, before we install these, the other thing that was figured out, 2 of the injector wires on the side bin did, let it be known, were backwards, and that's why we were having a hard time getting it started, and it was running funny. Now it runs good. So anyway, time to install the old BCs. It's pretty easy. Hold on, don't jiggle it too much. My hand's in there. All right, 1 coilover in, 1 to go. All right, rear coilovers are in. Everything's buttoned up back here. We still got to do the rotors and the brake calipers, but right now we're worrying about suspension. So we're gonna move on to the front. I don't know why it's always so satisfying.
I think this is my first new set of coils.
Sliding a new top hat, you know, the stud sliding through, and then just like the nuts thread on the other way by hand. I don't know why I enjoy it. It's a satisfying thing.
Just like spin it.
I want to tighten that lower down before you bolt that up, because you can get in there with the impact. Mint. That beautiful suspension. One side down, one to go. All right, we've got the suspension completely on the front. You can see beautiful destroyer die. Angle kit, he's got new inner and outer tie rods. This thing's fresh. He's got this hub done. He's still got to press his extended studs into his other hub. I need to do these on my car. I have them, I just never get around to doing it for the front. I have them in the rear though. Yeah, man, stuff looks really nice. I like the black coating on it. Mine is silver, which looks nice too, but the black looks really sleek. This is the silver. It's like what I have. But these are also, they're drop knuckles and they're dual calipers. So really sick suspension setup, honestly, because I think they're 35 or 40 mil drop knuckles front and rear. So the geometry, the car can be decently low, functionally low, control arms perfectly level or angled slightly downwards, which I think is ideal. My control arms end up in the rear in like the perfect spot. And my car is not high, but it's not super slammed. It's like a good amount. So I'm hyped for him to have the same suspension as me. He's always had like cut knuckle kits on his car. This will be his first time with like a real deal angle kit, so that's super exciting. But anyway, while he's wrapping up the hub so we can get the brakes and rotors and everything on the car, I'm gonna do the expansion tank. So I built this coolant expansion tank. If you didn't see that video, I built it a while ago. I built one very similar for my car. Coolant comes out of the water pump into here, cycles around, goes back, continues through the system. So this allows you to fill the coolant and bleed it properly, because with the radiator down here, one, we shave the cap off of it to tuck it, and two, it is below the highest point of the cooling system. So you can't bleed all the air out of the top because you're not filling from the highest point. So this allows you to fill from the highest point. And then when I built mine, I did this one the same way, but I decided to divide it and make this part the overflow. So it's one tank. So you don't have to have a expansion tank and a separate overflow. So what we're gonna do on mine, it just dumps into here. But normally with an overflow, you would have a tube going down to the bottom so that when the cap's open, it can suck the fluid back in. It doesn't suck any air back in. I didn't do that with mine, but we have a tube for his, so I gotta cut this down, drill a hole, and then it'll overflow into here and then be able to suck the coolant back in. So let's get this thing out, get it on the bench, start drilling and welding. This is exciting. This is the first time I get to use my new Deechworks and wrenches. Oh, these are nice. They fit perfect, and they're aluminum, so they don't mar things up. I also got their adjustable one, but might as well use the right size when you can, right? Oh, sorry about that. You okay? A little bit of a fall there. This one is very oily. It's crazy how light this tank is, and it's made out of some pretty thick stuff, but it weighs, I don't know, maybe a couple pounds max. Figure out one length of this. Sweet, that came out pretty decent. These wrenches are amazing. All right, it's installed. Then I'll have to put a hose here, do some thread tape on this, but fitting's done. Tube goes down to the bottom, clean out all the metal shavings, ready to rip. All right, well, with that project done and out of the way, we're gonna take a quick break from wrenching and go hit up League Night. So League Night is at our local kart track. It's kart racing, so it's rental karts, but you're not racing for the fastest time. You do have a qualifying for the fastest time to set your position for the race, but it's a wheel-to-wheel race. It is so fun, 10, 15 people grid, wheel-to-wheel start. There's an A and a B group, yada yada, super fun. So anyway, with all this coronavirus stuff going on, who knows when the next time we'll be able to go to League Night is, so definitely gonna take advantage of it and go have some fun and do some racing. So I'll show you guys the highlights for those of you that are interested. If you're not, skip to this time. All right, we're going out for the A race. We're gonna start in the back of the A race because we finished first in the B race. Hopefully this kart's good. That would be sweet. It's really fun when you get you have to start in the back of Oh, this thing feels good. Oh, it turns both directions, boys. Oh, it feels like it might not have any motor, though. It's vibrating pretty good, but it turns both ways. Oh, no, it doesn't. Tires might just be cold. I don't know, we'll find out. Yeah, this happened 2 weeks in a row, though. Got a really crap cart for qualifying. Qualify terrible. Get a decent cart for the B race. Do well in the B race. Move into the A race. And we'll see what happens this time. Alrighty, so starting from the back, always interesting. You really want to try to gain as many spots in the first couple turns where there's chaos if you can. So we're going to go down the inside. Almost changed my mind. Pass a couple people. Oh, more incidents, more passing. Oh, just like that, up to 5th. I mean, that is definitely the way to gain positions back when you're starting in the back, because there's so much chaos in the first turn. So now we're up into 5th. Definitely got a quick cart. You can see we're kind of already gaining on the guy in front of us. It handles well, so my goal is just to try to get past as many people as possible while everyone's still close together. So I'm looking down the inside, not going to happen. Staying tucked behind this guy. I see Ben go a little wide. I know that's going to slow him down, so I think this guy, he's an aggressive, always kind of goes for every pass kind of guy. So he goes for the pass. I try to follow him through. Now we're 3 wide coming into this hairpin, so not really a great situation to be in. Boom, I get hooked on Ben's bumper. It kind of takes me out wide, and then I get passed back down to 8th place. So now I really got my work cut out for me. Everyone's still close, so try to take that spot right back. I had a little more momentum out of there. Coming into here, I'm leaving him room just in case he's still on the outside. Then now I'm clear of him, so I'm just going to get back over into the outside, get into the draft, and try to just kind of tuck in and catch up and get past these people if I can. So we're all pretty bumper to bumper. Things are getting a little hairy. We come into this one, mistake of trying to go down the inside. I didn't have the run, so I just kind of end up getting passed right back by him and then passed by Ben again. So Ben's coming up on the outside. I've got to just keep enough room on him now so I can take the line on the inside. I give him a full cart width on the outside. I stay on the inside all the way through in case he's there. I don't want to push him off the track. Now we're back into 7th, and here we go. We got another guy we're catching up to pretty quick, so I'm going to come up on him. I'm just going to go down the inside. Same move as before, but I had a little bit more momentum that time, so I can kind of carry it through and keep my speed going through that turn. You really don't want to lose speed on that turn because it comes to this uphill. So if you kill your momentum, you kill your run up that hill. So this turn's a little tricky. Dropping a tire like that, real rough. It really upsets the cart, but it's really hard to shoot the gap. It's so narrow. You got to turn in at the perfect time to make it through there cleanly. So now we're up into 6th. We don't have a whole lot more to go. Everyone's still pretty tight. The leaders are not even a turn ahead. So as we come through here, these guys get into a little bit of a scuffle. They get a little squirrely. So now it's kind of my time to attack. My plan is to try to dive in on these guys. I'm catching up. I need to wait for the right opportunity to get past them. I try to go past this guy here, but nope, he's going to push me off until he gets in front of me. So I let him go. Much quicker than him through this turn. I mean, he's really just kind of holding me up here, so I really want to get by him as soon as I can so that I can keep the race for the front. Keep trying to work my way towards the front. So here he comes into this turn. I know he's going to go for it. He goes for a risky pass that he was never going to make and screws up, kind of takes the other guy out. That always works out great. You get past 2 people at once, but here he comes slamming me out to the outside, almost pushing me into the tires, but we managed to get by him. Now we're in 4th. Gone from 13th to 4th. Obviously, we've got a big gap from us to 3rd, so we're going to try to catch him, get past him, and then work our way up to the front. I don't know if we're going to be able to catch him by the end of the race or not. We can probably stop lifting there. The tire's got some good temp in them now. So I take that turn wide because there's a really big bump, and it really throws you off if you hit it. Kind of messed that one up. We're catching old Speedy boy. That was my bad. I didn't realize he couldn't turn that well. Alright, so now we are into 3rd. The person you see who looks like they're in 3rd is Brian. He actually got dumped on the first lap, so he's a lap down, but he was fast, so he's running with the leaders. So after a couple laps, we managed to catch Brian. He gives us the point by because he's not in this race. You know, it's me trying to catch up to the leaders, so he lets me by so I can continue on and try to catch them. And I did not manage to catch them, but I mean, we went from 13th to 3rd. Really not a bad result. It's always fun when I get a bad qualifying kart and then get a really good kart for the race. That was a good race. It's just crazy what the difference a good kart makes, you know? Ugh. All right, well, weeknight was a blast. I definitely prefer getting a bad kart in qualifying and a good kart in the race. It's like the same things happen twice now. Like real bad kart for qualifying, go in B, finish enough in B, start in the back of A, start in the back of A, I have a good kart, work my way up towards the front. I don't know. But I mean, honestly, I prefer it that way. It's fun. Just you don't know that you're gonna get a good kart in the A race or if you're even gonna get to the A race. So it's like a gamble. So anyway, back to work on this thing. Ben's getting his B rakes on. He's got his other hub on with his extended studs. Got his brakes on. He's got his lines in. Look at that, dude. Dual calipers. They're perfectly opposing on the Destroyer die knuckle. It just looks visually satisfying. Dude, getting there. Big moment. Water's going in.
About to actually let her get up to temp.
Get to find out if my welds are good or not. Also, they got the brakes bled and the clutch bled. So it's got brakes, it's got clutch, it's got suspension.
Yeah, I think the only thing holding us up is
drive shaft.
Drive shaft.
Sway bars in.
Fluid. I need diff fluid and trans fluid.
Yeah, and you gotta get that trans fluid from the dealer. If you ever run a CD09, it is very important that you run the fluid from the dealer or Redline MT90. I just get it from the dealer because it's about the same price. She's thirsty, boy. Well, the time has finally come to put this thing back on the ground for the first time in like over a year. So brakes are bled, handbrake, second caliper, brakes are bled. Shift knobs on, that was a big thing. Yeah, so everything else is essentially done. Had to take the sway bar off, couldn't get that to fit right, so I'll have to deal with that later. I think that's pretty much it. So it runs, it's got trans fluid, diff fluid, drive shaft is in. The drive shaft he got made originally was a little short, so he took it back and had him lengthen it. Now it fits perfect, so it's ready to go. I mean, it's got the full drivetrain complete, suspension's complete. There's not much left besides exhaust, which is where it's going this weekend.
For the brakes and stuff.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Dude, it's really honestly pretty crazy to see it on the ground.
Yeah, that's been a long time.
That wheel fitment is on point though.
Ready for final bout, boys.
Looks like how every FD driver tests their car.
Dope to like see it like actually on its own wheels.
Yeah, that for me when I built my car, that was like a big moment, seeing it sitting on the ground as a roller. You turn this up. Why don't you adjust the plate up?
I could, but I adjusted it.
You got water here. So there's been some technical difficulties with the rear. It was just kind of like locked up.
Still don't know what's wrong with it. It's just like really difficult to turn. And when you take the like hub out of the axle, the hub spins pretty freely.
Yeah, I mean, that's about normal
and
though. Because you're spinning the drive shaft, the diff, the carrier. So I mean, that seems normal. Like that amount just
better
then.
than it was.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't even spin it by hand before. It was like locked up.
Right.
And I thought it was like, because on the front I screwed up and I put too long of bolts in my brake calipers. So when I tightened down my rotor, or put the wheel on, the rotor tightened up against the bolt. So I thought I had the same thing going on back here. It wasn't that. The rotor, the calipers aren't locked up, the hubs aren't locked up, the diff spins freely when they're out. So I just put it in first and let her rip for a little bit, loosen her up.
All right, well, the problem is resolved. This is a prime example of Ben never listens to me.
I don't listen to Taylor.
He does not listen to me. So the destroyer die drop knuckles essentially move where the wheel mounts up. That's how you get a drop knuckle. That's how your control arms are flat. Because of that, though, the control arm gets very close to the wheel. I told Ben with the energy suspension bushings, I said, you cannot use these big washers. They will hit on the inside of your wheel. He responded with, I don't want my bushings to fall out. I'm like, well, I have small washers on mine. It's been a year and a half. My bushings haven't fallen out. I don't want my bushings to fall out. What was the problem? The big washers rubbing against the wheel.
That's interesting.
All right, so now it should roll without locking up, I would think.
Yeah, so I'm going to floor it and try to do a burnout.
Just try to make sure you run right into my workbench.
Let's go.
Swerve to the right so you take out all the welders.
Sorry, going to take out all the things Taylor cares.
Truck, the welders, my Miata. You had to go through the wall. Go through the wall and
Yeah,
right.
that's mine. I don't want to hurt that.
True.
That's why I'm not doing it in reverse.
Makes sense.
Knock over all my stuff. Moral of the story, listen to Taylor sometimes.
Oh, and hold on, one more thing before you start it. I thought he had adjusted his idle screw. He didn't understand why his car wouldn't idle. It was the idle screw. Fix the idle screw, idle's perfect. Or can't tell us. Perfect. It's a little low. Hell yeah. Yeah, I know, it's a sick feeling. Like even just moving it back and forth, like it moves, it drives, it.
We've been dreaming about LS Miatas for a while.
I know. All right, the time has finally come. We have what we think are all the little issues worked out. There's obviously still things left to take care of down the road, but it is drive worthy at this point. We think. Keyword there, we think. Fingers crossed it's drive worthy. So, we gotta get the old Fummins out of here because it's kind of blocking Ben's path out. So we're gonna drag this thing out and Ben's gonna take this thing for its first drive. Are you hyped? I'm pretty hyped for you.
Yeah.
I'm pretty hyped for you. All right. Yeah. It is crazy how much more open it feels in here when this giant truck's not in here. It looks like a new shop.
Right?
So much space.
I feel crazy with both of them out here.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be so weird to see this spot open. This car's been in this spot for like a year now. Time to shine, sink or swim.
We know she moves, so.
That's true. We know the brakes work.
Taylor's gonna be like, oh, it'd be easier if you had power steering.
It would be. Look at that. Yeah.
Like sick.
I heard you.
I probably shouldn't have floored it, but
Ah, dude, it's NA. It'll be all right.
yeah, I took it on the road and I ripped through second.
I heard it.
Sick.
Yeah, just spinning the tires.
It was honestly, I just wish we could have the exhaust.
I know. He was supposed to get the exhaust done today, but it didn't work out.
Coronavirus.
Everything's on lockdown. Well, everywhere except where we live, it seems like. But we're good here. They haven't locked us down. But she rips, she moves, she drives. Hell yeah. Sandy, what do you think? You don't like it? No? What would you do differently, Sands? Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good idea. Sandy, it's dirty there. That's why your name's Sandy, because you roll around in the sand and you get covered in sand. Oh, Sands. All right, well, got the car back in here. It's weird having it facing forward now. It's been the other way for a year in the same spot. So seeing it in like a kind of different spot the other way, I don't know, it's just weird. Feels weird walking in the shop and not having this thing on jack stands facing that way. First drive was pretty much a success. Like I said, the last big mechanical thing that needs to get done is the exhaust, and kind of waiting to hear back on a couple people to do it. Not sure how that's gonna go. So we're probably gonna end up throwing it on the lift, taking a look at it and seeing how hard it would be. And maybe we'll just knock it out ourselves. I don't know, but super exciting. First drive, we were very close to like the first drifts in this thing. The event that he was planning on going to shake it down before Clutch Kickers at the end of the month. So we have basically a whole month to get this thing ready for Clutch Kickers. Ideally would be to, go drift it at some point before then, work out the little bugs, have him get comfortable in the car, and then that way when we go to Clutch Kickers, he's ready. So we got to figure out what we're going to do there. Maybe a compound trip. Obviously not the ideal place to test as far as layout and track and stuff, because you can go off and really mess some stuff up, but ideal in the sense that there's no run groups, no sessions, so you can drive, do a lap, if something's wrong, fix it, go right back out, make changes. You have it's a good testing. It's a good way to test because you have so much time to work on the car and drive whenever you want. You're not waiting for a session, and then if something goes wrong, you miss the whole session. So anyway, I don't know, we gotta figure that out, but first there needs to be an exhaust on the car. So that's what we gotta figure out next. But for now, that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. Goodbye.